Deadweight. The words cut through the morning briefing like shrapnel. Staff Sergeant Martinez didn't bother lowering his voice as he gestured toward the corner where Specialist Sarah Chen sat reviewing her medical kit. Why are we dragging a 90-pound medic on a combat patrol? She's slow us down, sir. The other soldiers shifted uncomfortably, but none disagreed. Chun's small frame and quiet demeanor had made her an easy target since arriving at Forward Operating Base Wolverine 3 weeks ago. At barely 5'2" and soft-spoken, she seemed more suited for a hospital than the harsh mountains of Afghanistan. Martinez continued his assessment with brutal efficiency. Request permission to leave the medic behind. Colonel, we need fighters, not babysitters. Colonel Harrison studied the patrol roster, his weathered face betraying nothing. Chun had graduated, top of her class from combat medic training, but her file was thin on actual field experience. The mission was straightforward. Escort a supply convoy through the Korengal Valley, a route they'd traveled dozens of times. Still, something about dismissing her so icily didn't sit right. Negative, Sergeant. Specialist Chen accompanies. The patrol orders are orders. Before we continue this incredible story, tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Don't forget to follow our channel and hit that like button for more stories. Martinez exchanged glances with the other soldiers, Corporal Davis, Private Johnson, and Private Williams. Their expressions said everything. They'd be watching out for the dead weight instead of focusing on the mission. Chen methodically checked her aid bag, her movements precise and efficient. She'd heard every word, absorbed every dismissive look, but her face remained impassive. Inside, familiar doubts crept in. Maybe they were right. Maybe she didn't belong here. The morning sun cast long shadows across the compound as the patrol prepared to move out. Chen secured her M4 carbine and adjusted her body armor, movements fluid despite the skeptical stares. She'd proven herself in training, but Afghanistan was different. Here, hesitation meant death. Here, being small meant being vulnerable. Here, she was just dead weight, or so they thought. The convoy rolled out at 0800 hours. 3 Humvees cutting through the dusty mountain roads. Chen rode in the second vehicle with Martinez and Davis, the tension thick as the Afghan heat. The sergeant made no effort to hide his irritation, checking his watch every few minutes and muttering about unnecessary complications. Stay close to the vehicles, Chen Martinez instructed as they reached the halfway point. When the shooting starts, and it will start, you keep your head down and let the real soldiers handle it. His tone was professional but condescending, the kind of guidance given to someone expected to fail. Davis nodded along, his confidence boosted by the sergeant's certainty. But Chen had been studying the terrain with different eyes. The narrow pass ahead, the rocky outcroppings, the perfect positions for an ambush, everything her grandfather had taught her about reading a battlefield. The other soldiers saw routine. She saw danger. Her training kicked in, muscle memory from countless hours of tactical scenarios, but she kept her observations to herself. They wouldn't listen anyway. The radio crackled with routine updates from the lead vehicle. Wolverine 6, this is Wolverine 1. Road ahead, looks clear. No signs of hostile activity. The familiar comfort of standard operating procedure. Chen's fingers unconsciously moved to her aid bag, checking the placement of tourniquets and pressure bandages. Something felt wrong, a sixth sense inherited from generations of warriors, though none of the men around her would have believed. As they entered the narrow pass, Chen noticed fresh tire tracks in the dust, disturbed rocks that shouldn't have been moved, and shadows that seemed too regular to be natural. Her grandfather's voice echoed in her memory. The battlefield speaks to those who know how to listen. Little one. Most soldiers hear only the noise of their own fears. But she was just dead weight. What could she possibly know that they didn't? The first explosion ripped through the morning comm at 0947 hours. The lead Humvee erupted in flames as an improvised explosive device detonated beneath its front wheels. Before the echo faded, muzzle flashes erupted from the rocky outcroppings exactly where Chen had sensed danger. Contact left. Contact left. Martinez screamed into his radio, his earlier confidence evaporating in the chaos. Bullets hammered, their vehicle spiderwebbing the armored glass. The convoy was perfectly positioned in a kill zone, trapped between vertical rock walls with nowhere to maneuver. Get down. Get down. Chun's training took over while the others dove for cover. She assessed the tactical situation with cold precision. The attack was coordinated, professional, at least 8 insurgents in elevated positions with clear fields of fire. The burning lead vehicle blocked their escape route, and the narrow pass prevented retreat. They were trapped. Johnson's hit, Davis shouted from the rear vehicle. He's bleeding out. The private's screams carried over the gunfire, but Martinez couldn't risk exposing his men to provide aid. They were pinned down, taking effective fire from multiple directions. Standard procedure was to call for air support and wait for extraction, but Chen wasn't thinking about standard procedure. She was thinking about her grandfather's lessons, about the warrior's code that ran deeper than army regulations. Johnson would die without immediate medical attention. The others would follow if they remained trapped in the kill zone. Someone had to break the tactical stalemate. Someone had to move. I'm going for Johnson, Chen announced. her voice cutting through the chaos with unexpected authority. Martinez whipped around, his face contorted with disbelief and rage. The deadweight medic was suggesting the impossible, crossing 30 meters of open ground under direct fire to reach a wounded soldier. Are you insane? You'll get yourself killed. Martinez grabbed her arm, his grip bruising. We wait for close air support. That's an order. But Chen was already checking her rifle, her movements efficient and purposeful. Something had changed. In her demeanor, the quiet medic was gone, replaced by someone Martinez didn't recognize. Johnson has maybe 3 minutes before he bleeds out, Chen replied, her voice steady despite the bullets whining overhead. Close air support is 15 minutes out. Do the math, Sergeant. She studied the insurgent positions, calculating angles and timing with tactical precision that startled the seasoned NCO. Where had this come from? Martinez stared at her in shock. This wasn't the same timid medic who'd endured his ridicule for weeks. The woman preparing to risk everything for a wounded soldier moved with the confidence of a seasoned warrior. Chen, I'm ordering you to stand down. You're not trained for this. She met his gaze directly for the first time since arriving at the FOB. My grandfather was General Chen Weiming, commander of the 82nd Airborne's Asian Pacific operations. My father was Colonel James Chen, killed in Iraq leading a rescue mission. I've been trained for this since I could walk. Sergeant, the question is whether you're going to help me save Johnson or watch him die. The revelation hit Martinez like a physical blow. General Chen Weiming, the legendary paratrooper who'd earned 3 Silver Stars and a Medal of Honor. Colonel James Chen, the officer who died rescuing an entire platoon from insurgent forces. The deadweight medic was military royalty, and she'd been content to let them think otherwise. Cover me, Chen ordered, and this time Martinez didn't argue. The authority in her voice came from generations of command, from bloodlines that had bled for the flag. She moved toward the kill zone with tactical precision, using cover and concealment that would have impressed her grandfather. The insurgents focused their fire on her movement, exactly as she'd anticipated. While their attention shifted, Martinez and Davis engaged with suppressive fire. Their shots coordinated with Chen's advance. She bounded from cover to cover, her small frame actually an advantage in the broken terrain. Every movement was calculated, every pause perfectly timed. Johnson lay behind the burning Humvee, his life bleeding out through a severed femoral artery. Chen reached him as his pulse began to fade, her hands immediately applying pressure to the wound. Stay with me, soldier, she commanded, her voice carrying the authority of officers who'd saved countless lives before her. The tourniquet was applied with textbook precision, stopping the hemorrhage in seconds, but getting Johnson to safety required crossing the same deadly ground again, this time carrying a wounded man. Chen assessed the situation with tactical clarity inherited from her military lineage. The insurgents held the high ground, but they'd revealed their positions. She keyed her radio with blood-stained fingers. Wolverine 6, this is Wolverine. I have wounded, secured, and need immediate suppressive fire on grid 314 to 287. Danger close. The rescue extraction lasted 47 minutes. Chen coordinated fire support, directed medical evacuation, and maintained tactical control, while Martinez and his team provided covering fire. When the dust settled, all American forces were alive, including Johnson, who would recover fully thanks to her immediate medical intervention. But it was the aftermath that truly revealed who Specialist Chen was. As the casualty evacuation helicopter lifted off, she didn't seek recognition or acknowledgement. She simply cleaned her equipment, restocked her medical supplies, and prepared for the next mission. The Warriors Code demanded nothing less. Colonel Harrison arrived at the FOB that evening with Chen's complete service record, the classified sections that revealed her true heritage. Gentlemen, he announced to the assembled patrol, you've been serving alongside the granddaughter of one of the most decorated officers in Army history. Her family has served with distinction for 3 generations. Martinez stood at attention, his face flushed with shame and something deeper, respect earned through blood and courage. Sir, I owe Specialist Chen an apology. I was wrong about her capabilities, but his words felt inadequate, hollow compared to what she'd proven under fire. Chen accepted the apology with quiet dignity, just as she'd accepted the dismissal weeks earlier. We're all soldiers here, Sergeant. We all bleed the same color. But something had changed in the unit's dynamic. The men who'd called her dead weight now looked at her with the respect reserved for proven warriors. 6 months later, Specialist Chen received the Bronze Star for her actions in the Korengal Valley. But more importantly, she'd proven that true strength isn't measured in size or volume, it's measured in courage, skill, and the willingness to risk everything for your brothers in arms. The dead weight had become the foundation upon which lives were saved.